What is good, Serotonin Squad? It's Serotonin here. I just wanted to talk about kind of a serious topic on this episode of the Serotonin Diaries, and that's the topic of addiction. Uh, First off, I'll talk about my addiction. First off, I started off with Adderall. I was buying it kind of on the streets from homies and shit. I was taking probably about 72, 75 milligrams a day, which is way above the recommended dose for medicinal use. And on top of that, I was also drowning it in Monster and Rock Stars and all that. So I was just hyper all of my high school years. And afterwards, I had this, when I tried to quit cold turkey, I had this thing called the stimulant psychosis. Now, that's when your body is like flushing out all the stimulants and everything, and I went into this I want to say drug-like trance where I thought that the Mexican mafia was after me. I had to break into a car to reach into a tape deck to grab the third key on the right to help have the Aryan Brotherhood come save me. And then whenever I would die in that situation, I would literally fall to the ground limp, wake up, like, and it would be 3 seconds earlier inside of my drug-like stupor, and I would have to make a different decision. And that led me to running out inside of my neighborhood, pretty much naked, just in my boxers, and falling onto a rock, having the paramedics come and get me. And I was in the hospital for about 3 days in this just stupor where my eyes were just fluttering and I was just mumbling random things. And you would think that I would learn that addiction was pretty bad from there. But nope, I had to keep going. So my second addiction was to Xanax. I do have an anxiety disorder. I do have depression. So I was like, you know what? Maybe Xanax will help me. I know a lot of friends that use it. I know a lot of people that use it. I'll give it a shot. So I started out taking half of a bar of Xanax, which is about 1 milligram. Um, that progressed to two, and then two progressed to four, and then I was eating probably about eight a day at the height of my addiction. So I was taking about eight a day at the height of my addiction, and I was a fucking mess. You couldn't tell me right from wrong. I didn't know what I was doing. I'd sit in my room all day, just kind of just lazily, just like walking around and shit, falling asleep all the time. During that time, I was also experimenting with promethazine, which is cough syrup. I was taking a lot of that. And then I moved up to North Hollywood, which just steadied my addiction even more. I was buying Xanax by the jar and going through those within like a week or two. And so that's about 100 Xanax in about 2 weeks, which is ridiculous. And on top of that, I would be drinking, smoking weed, railing lines of coke. Because when I was feeling down from Xanax, I would be, you know what, I need a little energy, take a bump of coke. And then after that, I'd be like, well, I'm feeling a little bit on edge. So I would take another Xanax. And the cycle just continued, continued, continued. And it led me to pretty much a financial insecurity to where I had no money to do anything anymore. And everything just kind of started going downhill from there. I was downing bottles of absinthe, like bottles probably like that big. Two of those a night. I'd be going out buying like four like of the airplane bottles worth uh, of vodka or gin or whatever it was that was the cheapest that day, and it just kept bringing me down, kept bringing me downhill. And during that addiction, I had a cousin who it's actually his birthday today, and he was addicted to meth, speed, and heroin, and it was one of the worst things you could possibly imagine seeing somebody go downhill that fast. Um, he overdosed on all of that, and everything just kind of hit me at once. Like, I can't keep living the life that I'm living if I expect to live a successful life. But I guess it wasn't enough to hit me in the head, so I kept using, kept going back left and right, using, fucking popping pills, drinking while popping pills. And I would see my friends on that same path, and I'd be like, they're doing it, so I guess I can do it too. And I was enabling them, they were enabling me. It was one big circle of fuck. And it just, it started spiraling downward, and I finally realized on January 7th or January 6th that I needed to change, because that night I had probably about four of those things of absinthe, and I was denied by a girl that I'd really liked, and I had basically driven home drunk from a show, just totally blacked out, didn't even know what I was doing. Don't remember even driving home that night, and I didn't hit anybody. I got home safely, but I woke up the next morning just feeling completely terrible, completely out of my mind, and that's when I decided that I needed to change. I was completely, utterly, like, beat down, and I realized that my life had become unmanageable. So I decided to start going to AA, and the first week, fucking hell. Second week, hell. Third week, a little better, but still hell. And it's only until these 2 weeks later, or 2 months later, that I actually feel as though my life has gotten better, that I can actually make decisions for myself that make sense in the moment, that actually help me instead of deter me and hold me back. Um, I'm no longer smoking pot, no longer taking Xanax, no longer snorting coke, no longer doing any of that shit. And I honestly couldn't be happier. The thrill of life when you're actually living it is way greater than any high that I have ever had. Um, I just, I don't know. If you guys know of anybody who is actually struggling with addiction, please reach out to them, talk to them, make them just feel like they're in a safe environment to be able to talk to, because that's what I needed at that time. I needed somebody to come into my life and let me know that the way of life that I was going down was not the right way, you know? I thought that all of my actions were justified when I was doing this. I'm like, oh, I'll just have one drink. Oh, I'll just have two drinks. So I'll just drink in my room so I'm not hurting anybody. Or I'll just take a couple Xanax, go to a hot tub, and then just chill out for a bit, and everything will be fine. But it's not. It's not fine. It slowly deteriorates your body. I still have trouble remembering things from all of that, and it's just, I was a piece of shit back then. I have a lot of people that I still have to make amends to. I have a lot of things that I have to just rebuild from that time, all that lost time. And it's a very rough thing to bring up to somebody, but it's necessary. So please, I'm going to put a the suicide hotline number plus drug. Ooh, sorry, plus drug addiction hotlines in the description down below. If you or anybody you know is actually dealing with all of this, realize you don't have to go through all of this alone. Ever. Ever. You'll have friends. If you want outreach to me, I will talk to you throughout anything. I promise you guys, you will not have to go through your addiction alone. And I know that this has been kind of a sad, kind of downer serotonin diaries, but it's something I feel needed to get out. So you guys be safe out there in the virtual world and the real world. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And if you do, name it after me. Anyway, this has been Serotonin. You have been watching the Serotonin Diaries. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you tomorrow.